My last name is Richins, Richins. It's an English name.
Your first name?
Michael.
Michael.
And my middle name is Robert,
So
named after my great-grandfather.
So we're here at your house, been here for a couple of days, and like right from the beginning we were welcome, and we felt that we were welcome, and we're so very grateful.
Well, you're welcome.
For that. Thank you.
We're glad to have you here.
So the first thing that I noticed, your home. And I came to learn that you built it yourself.
Yes, I did.
When was this? How old were you?
Let's see, I was about 32 or something like that. It was built in about, let's see, it was 1976, 77 is when it was built.
Quite some time ago. How did it happen? What did you have to do to build this? Did you build it by yourself?
Yes, yeah. Well, what it all happened to, and the whole thing came together is, I wanted to start my practice here, my professional practice. And so this building started out as a mortuary.
It was,
yes.
It was intended to be a mortuary.
Right, in the beginning. And I was living in a mobile home at the time, and I came down with a tractor with a bucket on it and scooped things flat, and then I took a spade and pick and dug the footings and poured the cement in those, and set up the rebar forms and formed all the rest of the sides. And then what I did, after I had all the cement work down there, I went and got a permit from the Forest Service to cut dead trees. And there were quite a few dead trees at the time in the forest behind this property. So I went there and took a truck and tractor and cut the trees, loaded them on the truck, and took them to a sawmill. A friend of mine owned a sawmill, and he traded me. He took half of the logs that he could cut and sell, and the other half he cut into lumber that I wanted to build this house.
It's quite a bit of lumber that had to come from that. So it was not just
not just a few trees, yeah.
Right. So
it was about 4 truckloads of. I think the longest one I had was maybe a 20-foot log, 20 feet long, and there were about 4 truckloads. Yeah, it was a lot of lumber.
Yeah, when I heard, I just loaded onto a truck, and in my mind is like, yeah, 1 truckload won't do. So quite a few trees and quite a few truckloads.
Yeah. There were, as I remember, there were at least 4 truckloads, and that's a truck that's 8 feet wide and probably another 8 feet.
One of those flatbeds,
stacked high. It's a flatbed with stakes on the side.
Okay.
Chained it down, and that's quite a bit of lumber.
Yeah, not a pickup truck.
And he sawed it all rough for me. It wasn't planed, so some of it I had to plane, smooth it out. But the rest of it was just rough, and I took a hammer and nails and a chainsaw and cut the angles that I needed. And first, of course, I kind of planned the whole thing of how it was going to be built and how it would go together. And then I just followed my plan and built it up.
What I noticed immediately is that it looks like it was built yesterday. It doesn't look like it's aged at all.
Yeah. Well, that's part of living at 6,200 feet in Wyoming. We're a long ways away from the ocean here, and it's relatively dry. So a wood structure will last quite a long time. Plus, we don't have termites in this area. So a wood structure will last hundreds of years if it's kept dry and properly taken care of. And it doesn't require a lot of care, but mainly is just keep it from getting wet and staying wet. Then it will never rot.
One thing about the home is it's a beautiful structure, but a home without a family is just
it's just a building.
It's just a building.
Yeah, it's just a building.
So I don't want to get into all of the details, But I met your wife,
Yes.
and she has been as graceful as you are. How did you guys meet?
Interesting, we met a long time ago in Japan, back in 1972.
What were you doing in Japan?
I was a missionary for the LDS Church.
What year was this?
It was 1972.
1972. It was before you you had your degree and you were
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, before I finished my degree or anything like that. And we met in Yokohama. Yeah, she was a teacher of the people who were investigating, the religion, investigating the teachings. More than the religion, I should say, investigating the teachings, that we believe. And every Sunday she was teaching this class, and then I would bring the people that I was teaching there, and we would teach together. So I got to know her, real well that way. And we became friends and talked about different things. But then, it was time for me to go back to the U.S., and so I went back, and she went her way, and I went mine. And
if you don't mind, you were saying that you were investigating the religion that you were teaching.
Yes.
What is this religion?
It's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, otherwise known as the LDS, or sometimes in a slang called the Mormon Church. They take that from the Book of Mormon, which is one of the scriptures that we teach.
Okay.
And the teachings is what we call the gospel, or the plan of salvation. And it talks about why we came here to the earth, what our purpose is for being here, and where we're going to go after we have spent our time here on this earth. That's essentially what we were teaching.
Okay.
It's fairly simple, fairly straightforward. It has a lot to do with spirit, with energy, with values. What are the important things in your life?
Okay.
Why do you do what you do? Is it going to have lasting value? Things like that. And essentially, what are the things that it takes to be a person who has worth both to yourself and to your fellow man?
We're coming back to this aspect. I think it's probably central to everything that we have experienced.
Yes.
Your attitude and how warm your welcome was, and during our stay, has been. I am not a religious person, but I'm going to say that it's been a blessing.
Well,
coming here.
That's as good a semantics as any, and I take exception with you.
Tell me.
Yeah, you say you're not a religious person, and I guess in the concept of organized religion, you're probably not. But I feel, through my feelings and my experience with people that I've met throughout my life, that you're a very spiritual person. You have a very close connection, with your family. You know what love is. You believe in love. You believe in being kind to your fellow man. You have wonderful manners, and from my discussion with you, your values seem to be the things that are more eternal rather than just the right now.
Yeah. I think that subconsciously, perhaps yes, maybe consciously, no. We are in a world where everybody has labels, and
we shouldn't.
And
you don't need them.
I don't know whether I label myself an atheist or I've just reacted to what is expected of someone who does not believe in a supreme being or anything like that. Yeah. But thanks.
It's and you're totally right. I think the big problem is we try to put people in categories. We don't look at them as who they are. We don't take the time to feel the energy, that emanates from them. So you don't go to church every Sunday. You don't read different religious books. You probably have read them, but you don't read them regularly. Blah blah blah. So you consider yourself not religious, and that's fine, because in my opinion, and according to to the belief system that I have, religion is only there to help us to be better. It has no other purpose. And in fact, according to my belief system, in the hereafter, there will be no religion. All there will be is family. No, we're talking about after death. Those who come to greet us as we die, those who we spend time with after we're dead, and into eternity is family. And by family, I'm not talking about mom and dad and the kids. I'm talking about extended family, way back and way forward, both directions, in eternity. That's what the real value of life is. And those relationships of love, that's what helps us, and that's what helps us to be better people, and that's what helps society be a better place to live. All crime and all wars and all these bad things come about because of fear and because of lack of love. I honestly believe that people say, what is the opposite of love? And they would say that's hate. But I disagree with that. I think the opposite of love is fear. I think it's kind of like light and dark. Love represents the light, whereas fear represents darkness. And you see that in people. When they have fear in them, they tend to retreat and hide and cover themselves. Darkness is always a coverage. That's where all of the works of evil and cruelty, etc., are usually always done in the dark. They're not done out in the open where everybody can see.
It is an interesting point. Semantically, grammatically, and linguistically, that doesn't seem to be the opposite, though.
Yeah.
But you make a point. That are you saying that fear evolves into the opposite, or it is already the opposite of love?
I think it is already the opposite of love, but what you're talking about evolving, I can understand that. I agree with that. It's kind of like fear is in stages, right from the little apprehensions, etc., down to terror and sheer anger. I spent a lot of time as a medical examiner, coroner. And when I was looking, I'm certified as a criminal investigator and a medical investigator. And whenever I really looked at the reason why somebody did homicide or some other form of larceny, robbing a store or whatever, it was out of fear. When you really break it down to the very low level, the very basic level, it was all fear. Fear of not having enough. Fear that they weren't good enough to make their own or create their own income, so they had to steal someone else. Fear that someone was going to take something away from them, so they killed them. That sort of thing. And it's the same thing with most of the negative emotions, like anger. People don't get angry unless they're afraid of something. People, I really notice people who have the most courage are the ones who either are too stupid to know what's dangerous, or else they have so much together and they have so much light in them that fear doesn't come into their picture at all. It doesn't affect them. It can be there. The very thing that should make you afraid is there, but it doesn't make you afraid because you have created so much light in your being, in your heart and in your mind, that fear has no place for it.
Although fear, maybe we're talking about different things, but fear is a factor that keeps us alive. In terms of biology, if you lose fear of something, you might get into trouble.
Yeah, I know what you're talking fight or flight, type
Correct.
of reactions. and I know what you're talking about there. But with the fear that I'm talking about is a different sort of thing, a different kind of energy. Because you can avoid a dangerous situation calmly through light and knowledge.
Okay.
You know, it's like if I see a rattlesnake, over here, because I hear him rattling and I know who he is, I don't have to be afraid of him. In fact, I can go and capture him and eat him or whatever it may be. So actually, it's not the fear that protects us as much as it is the knowledge. I can be deadly afraid of snakes and run away, and that did protect me, but it protected me in a negative way. It didn't help me. It's like, I heard a story. There were some people living close together. They were neighbors. Their yards were adjoining. The one lady was a herpetologist, and the other lady, had no knowledge of reptiles. And a little snake comes creeping through the one lady's, the one who had no knowledge, through her yard. Her little son is out there playing. She sees a snake and she screams, "Snake! Johnny, run! It's gonna kill you!" And Johnny runs, and from then on, Johnny is terrified of snakes. Has nothing to do with snakes, and anytime he sees a snake, he has chills up his spine. The same snake goes under the fence into the other yard, and Mom is a herpetologist. She sees the snake, and she sees that the snake is a little garter snake, and it's not going to hurt little Billy, who's over there playing. And she says, "Oh, Billy, quick, look, there's a garter snake." So she takes him by the hand, and they look at the garter snake, and they talk about the garter snake, how it has its children, blah, blah, blah. The very same snake.
Yes.
So it's not the fear that was protecting Johnny from the snake. It was ignorance, to tell you the truth. Certainly he will not go near snakes, but it's a negative kind of a thing that doesn't help him to grow.
Okay, so what we're saying is, it is not a fear.
Yeah.
Is not the cause, but perhaps how it is perceived.
Exactly,
or
perception. And that's the perception with dark and light. A fear perception is a negative perception, whereas a light perception is a positive perception. You can know something is dangerous. It's like, I'm a pilot. I have a pilot's license, and I fly small aircraft, and I can see a weather situation, and yes, it could very well kill you. But because of my training and because of my experience, I know how to avoid that, and I don't have to feel any fear. Whereas some people would see that and panic. It would cause them to do something with the aircraft that would cause more danger than the storm even. So,
let me take this a little further, and if it's okay to ask.
Yeah.
In some religions, they ask the fellowship to have fear of God. And in my opinion, okay, and in my belief system, that is a total misconception. God has no desire, nor does he have any need for you to fear him. That should have been translated as respect. See, one of the problems that we have is, like the Bible, it's been translated hundreds of times, and each time it was being translated, quite often the translator was doing this, and there's some guy standing over the top of him with a sword waiting to chop his head off if he doesn't make it politically correct. It's like de Maupassant, who wrote The Little Prince, said, "It is only with the heart that one sees rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. It's also invisible to the brain." So if we're really wise in this life, we follow our heart, not our emotions. I'm not talking about emotion, up and down, here and there. I'm talking about that still small voice that speaks to the heart, quietly and calmly, speaks to the heart and leads you forward into the best of things.
into the very best of things. That's otherwise known as revelation, you know. You know, the people talk a lot about, you know, prophets and all this sort of thing, and, you know, Moses and that, and, you know, that's wonderful. Moses received some wonderful things. But I honestly believe that every human being has the potential to receive guidance from heavenly places. And that's through energy. Yeah, I'm a firm believer in quantum mechanics, quantum physics, and I see the application of that in this whole realm of spirituality and how it works. You know, it's not voodoo, you know, woo-wah-woo, you know, scary stuff, you know, the boogeyman, you know, miraculous, crazy things happening. No, not at all. It's usually also very calm, very straightforward, very understandable in your heart, not so much in your mind. And I think there are people that it happens to every day, and they just blow it off and say, "Oh, that was just a coincidence," or "Oh, you know, that just happened." Well, I'm sure glad I didn't do that. I'm glad I felt like doing this and doing that instead. And if we'll take the time to quiet our minds, and especially if you can go out in nature and spend time in nature, you'll start to feel that more and more. And this is the other thing that I say about religion too. Any religion that's not willing to expose itself to scrutiny, it says, "Oh, you've got to believe this or God's going to beat you up," you know, that's foolishness. If it's the truth, no matter if I turn it upside down, inside out, backwards, whatever, it's still the truth. You know, so any religion that denies people the what should I say, the desire to seek is not, has something to hide.
So let me ask you. I think it was clear what you're saying, but even if that exploration of alternatives or answers that may be contrary to your beliefs, is that something that you're encouraged to, or that you encourage anyone who believes in anything to explore if they have doubts? And there may be other ideas or maybe other theories or even other beliefs that can, would those complement your?
Yes, they should.
Would they be able to replace what you?
Well, if it's the truth, no matter what it is, if it's the truth, it will stand all scrutiny. And no matter how you look at it. And here's the other thing, you know, all truth is of value, no matter where it comes from. You know, there are things that I don't know yet that I would really love to know. And I've studied other religions, and I found some wonderful things. And they always coincide with the very things that I believe. They always do, which are the truth. The problem with religion is we have too many people involved, and people start using religion as a means of gaining money, popularity, control, you know, this sort of thing. When they should leave it alone. The only purpose of religion is to help us be better people.
Okay.
That's it, that's all. And each person, each individual has their own path to walk. Each has their own path to walk. And the whole idea of religion is to helping all these people who want to be good come together to do greater good. Not for anybody to be powerful or to be, you know, you're wrong and I'm right. You know, that's contention, and that's total foolishness. The whole idea is to gather as much light and as much truth as we possibly can and go forward and help each other be good people and try to drive with that light that we have, try to drive the darkness out of the world, and that way we're going to have less conflict, less war. We're going to have less murder. We're going to have less thievery. All these things will go away because here's one quantum truth. Light and darkness cannot coexist. Whenever light comes into anything, darkness has to leave. Because darkness is an absence of light.
Okay.
When the light enters, the darkness goes away. It cannot stay.
Does it work the other way around?
Well, if you allow it, but if the light recedes, yes, the darkness can grow. But you have to allow the light to go away and for that to happen. The true power lies with the light, not with the darkness.
Okay. As an illustration, whenever we encounter a dark room, we bring light to it. There's also a method of lighting that does exactly the opposite. When we're outdoors, we put some kind of a shadow.
Yeah.
Okay. There are some times when there's too much light that you cannot really see the details. Okay. It's too much light. Is there such a thing?
In the situation that we're talking about is, seeing with a physical eye, yeah, I agree there has to be balance in the shadow as well as the light. But in an energy sense, that's not so much the case. In an energy sense, I've never seen too much energy, too much light. I've never seen that happen.
We're coming back to this because this is fascinating to me.
Yeah.
We're coming back to that. Mike, thanks.
My pleasure.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for the time.